Nolan King for MMA Junkie here, and I'm being joined by UFC featherweight contender Calvin Kattar, who's got a fresh pair of shades on, sitting in the car. Calvin, how are you, man?
Good. Just finished up getting a good sweat, drinking some green shit, ready to go still.
That's awesome,
I'm on
man.
my
And that's
Ferguson.
something I was going to ask you about was what's that?
I said I'm on my Tony Ferguson shit still. I'm ready to make weight on Friday.
You still on your Bill Belichick shit though? That's the question.
You see my sleeveless,
Yeah.
right? Always.
Repping, man. I love it. And you were if 10 days ago, the idea was for you to be on a plane right about now or tomorrow, flying out to mystery location X, and instead, that's not happening. So I guess just talk me through that. Is that a hard pill to swallow? Is it kind of surreal, frustrating? What's going through your mind this week?
Nah, that's just life, man. Can't get wrapped up in this shit. The highs, you can't get too high with the highs, too low with the lows. We definitely knew it was a real possibility of that happening, and I thought it was eventuality about 3 weeks out. And props to Dana for just having the balls to try to throw on the show, still make it happen, take all the safety precautions and measures that would need to take place. And man, that's not an easy task to take on. So he was trying, and he just it's tough to compete with the networks that are hosting your event. So ultimately it came down to getting canceled. But when he was talking Fight Island and it was time for me to okay the flights and the itineraries to get out there, I was like, wow, this shit's actually going to happen. He turned me into a believer again, and then he was one up by the network. So here we are.
Yeah, and it seems like a mental roller coaster. And I know you had to make physical adjustments too in your camp. You kind of had the makeshift gym going with Tyson and everybody. So I guess in terms of your preparation, did you feel like regardless of the scenario, you were properly prepared to step in there? Were you feeling physically just as good as you would have otherwise?
Yeah, I mean, as prepared as I possibly could, given the circumstances. And to me, that's as good as I need. It's just as good as I can get, as good as I could possibly be, given the circumstances. And you got to understand, I had been training. I'm trying to get out of that whole camp talk, like they're saying. It's a lifestyle for us. We got to be training 24/7, and that's just the mindset. It's a lifestyle. But I was training as if I had Jeremy Stevens fight since January 5th, planning to fight March 7th in Vegas. And that one was postponed to April 18th because of some kind of injury with Jeremy, I'm told. And then now we're in that roller coaster ride that you're talking about. So,
and you talk about this being booked multiple times. Do you feel like this fight's cursed? Do you think it's going to happen? Where do you stand on that? Do you believe that one day you guys will step in there?
You know what? I think it's just unfortunate circumstances at this point. Once we start hitting the Tony Ferguson Khabib numbers, if I have a guy like that that's just evading and it can't happen, maybe I'll take the hint.
And I know that you have
fights on.
And I know the UFC has been, staying in contact with a lot of teams that had fights booked, and since these postponements have happened, they've kind of kept their line to you guys. Have you guys talked to them at all? Is the plan to have that fight rebooked, or kind of what's the game plan there? If you've heard.
Yeah, we're in talks. From what I hear, they're shooting for May. Obviously, trying to get back to the swing of things in May, but it's just tough to gauge, and who really knows? You hear experts on both sides of the fence. So for me, it's just be as prepared as possible for an undisclosed date and location. And all we're doing is making improvements in the meantime, becoming more ready for ideally Jeremy, but for whoever, say Jeremy gets hurt on the way in, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of people trying to squeeze one in the uncertain circumstances, so we're ready for anybody. We're just staying busy and moving and focusing on what we can control, which is just, getting in the workouts each day and sticking positive through this mental roller coaster that you're talking about.
But you talk about the mystery or the openness to a date or location. But just to clarify, there, the Stevens matchup is still what you think is going to happen, right?
Yeah, it's still on the table until they take it off for me.
Yeah.
So we're still same plan, just different date. And I mean, as far as location's concerned, Fight Island sounds dope. I think everybody wants in. We could go fight and then quarantine at that location. Hopefully, we just quarantine on the island for a couple of weeks. I might not come back.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I mean, it's a part of history that I think it would be one of the most unique things in sports.
That's what I'm most disappointed about in this last one. I felt like it was a shot at history, and I think there'd be bigger moments like this. But we were the only show in town, and it would have been fun having the whole world watching. But my plan is to just keep winning fights and get one of those moments on my own. You know, just got to keep getting W's, and the rest will take care of itself. But I thought we had a cool opportunity ahead of us, and was hearing some cool locations. Part of me was just down. I'm always down. I was excited about where we'd end up and how cool of a story it's gonna make for, you know.
Yeah, for sure. And training now, like you obviously you just said you came from training. What kind of training are you partaking in now? Is it still like you're in camp? Do you have to kind of taper back a little bit? Like how do you make that adjustment?
Just I guess now we would be, peaked in a sense, but
Right.
we we dial back a little bit. We just kind of obviously we're not weight cutting this week like we would have been, so we're dialing back in that sense, and just getting in good solid workouts. Gonna have a strong push before a proposed date. Hopefully we'll have one sometime in May, and first come first serve I hear when May comes around. So we're trying to stay ready and get to the front of the line.
And I know the location doesn't really matter to you, but I'm not sure. Did you see the news last night about Florida with the WWE and everything that the governor came out and said that sports events are exempt from the quarantine orders that they have. So maybe that's a potential location, huh?
Yeah. Florida governor don't give two shits. I mean, he's had the same mo, man. This whole quarantine, he does not give a shit.
Hey man,
Right?
it might be good for you guys in the end, but I really appreciate the time today, Calvin. Whenever that fight gets rebooked, I know a lot of people are excited to see it, so I really appreciate the time today, man.
Hey, thank you, Nolan. Appreciate you guys. Hopefully, we give you something to watch in not too short future. So I am excited about it myself. Good talking to you guys.